Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Hump Day edition of Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I'm Rob Adams. Donald Eng, at least as of now, has the day off, but you never know. He may jump in here and say hello as the show goes along. Busy show today. We've got to go through the brackets and the scores from yesterday, set you up for today's games, as well as look forward to football coming up this weekend. We'll have it for you Saturday here on the HAN Network, so all of our usual Friday programming will shift off to Saturday, but we'll tell you all about that a little bit later on in the show. So let's dive into it from yesterday. First of all, we'll kind of dance around with some of the FCAC stuff from Class XXL boys soccer, and some good performances yesterday, with South Windsor falling to Norwalk 4-1, while Central beat East Hartford 2-0. Now, in that Central game, Jonathan Gomes and Yoel Salvador had the goals for the Hilltoppers, so they advance. Wilton gets a 2-0 win as well over Sheehan. Harry Allers had both goals. They play number 2 New Milford. That's at 2 p.m. on Thursday. Darien Ridgefield game is a fairly fascinating one to look at. Darien gets the win in the All-FCAC matchup 1-0, but Pablo Martinez with the lone goal. And John Bradley, the head coach of Darien, who can be a fun guy to talk to begin with, said to the press, "The best high school goal I've ever seen. It probably would have been an English Premier goal." Now that's pretty high praise coming from John Bradley, the head coach of Darien. So they get the win. They play Conard on Thursday, and as well as a fascinating game between Greenwich and Ludlow. Heard this from our own Sean Saylor. Sean was telling us that the Cardinals scored 2 goals in the final 2 minutes and 15 seconds, or at least late in the game. Greenwich will play Fairfield Prep. They beat Bristol Central 5-0. Some other scores we're taking a look at for you. Danbury over Wilbur Cross 1-0. Staples season is over. They lose to Hall. Now, they finished 1-1 draw, but Hall won 4-3 on penalty kicks. Trumbull's season also comes to an end with a 2-1 loss as well. And Fairfield Ward done on the year. They lost 1-0 against West Haven. Now, when you look at all over in the brackets, and there are a bunch of things you can take a look at here, you see that now Greenwich, as I mentioned, will have that matchup with Fairfield Prep. You'll have Conard and Darien setting up the potential, at least, for a Darien-Greenwich semi. No, that'd be a quarterfinal match, Darien-Greenwich. Or you could have a Fairfield Prep-Darien quarterfinal. Those both would be pretty good matchups either way. Farmington and Danbury, New Milford and Wilton staying in Class XXL, and again, the chance for maybe a Wilton-Danbury quarterfinal. Fun from an FCAC point of view. Bridgeport Central and Southington, as well as South Windsor and Hall. Those will be the showdowns in the second round. And Glastonbury and West Haven, Cheshire and Simsbury, all there. Let's move on to Class L as we go through these brackets, again, here in boys soccer. So you got Suffield and RHAM, Bethel and Bassick. That's in one segment. Harding and Berlin, Wethersfield and Pomperog. Potential for Harding to go on further as a 4 seed, and they've got the Bassick Lions. If they can get to the semifinals, you'd have a possible Bassick-Harding matchup in the semis. Be kind of fun for an all-Bridgeport showdown there. Again, moving down, Daniel Hand, New Fairfield, Barlow, as well as Lyman Hall, and then University and Prince, Avon, E.O. Smith, and Guilford as well. And a note passed along to me, and I didn't realize this, possibly the first state win for Bassick in soccer. I'm not sure about that, but I think that's the case, and that's pretty good. Because, Bassick could use a little good news. I saw yesterday that they had to wind up forfeiting their lone football victory of the year. So now Bassick, once again, undefeated. Would have been nice to have seen that, not happen. You don't like to see any of these forfeits, and the Lions had to forfeit, according to what I read, due to the use of an ineligible player. And you just, you hate seeing that happen. Let's move on to Class M. And again, it gets a little easier to go through these brackets now. This is in boys soccer. Lewis Mills will play Ellington, Wyndham Tech and Stonington. These are all schools we don't get to talk a whole lot about. Tolland and Ansonia, Watertown and Plainville as well. And I'm getting a note, by the way, that Bassick game, first in more than 40 years, that first victory, and that is confirmed. Thanks to Eric Gendron for getting that for me. So Tolland and Ansonia, Watertown and Plainville winners there meet in the quarters. Nottawag and Granby, Sheehan and Rocky Hill, as well as Bacon Academy and Valley Regional, and Montville and Brookfield. Finally, as we kind of roll through these brackets, we go to Class S, and that's where we find Morgan and Wamogo, who will play in the second round. Somers and St. Paul will also play in the second round. Now, I want to spend a moment on Coggeshall, as they will take on Litchfield in the second round. Litchfield beat Windsor Locks 4-3, but Coggeshall, look at this, 13-0 over Two Rivers out of Hartford. And all you can, you can't help but say to yourself, did Coggeshall elect to not kick the extra point on the second touchdown? I don't know, but maybe they went for two. But Coggeshall with a 13-0 win. And Two Rivers was the 4 seed, which is the amazing thing coming out of that. Coggeshall, the 29 seed. I guess, that's where we don't factor in things like strength of schedule and such things like that. And we don't. When it comes to the CIAC, they take it basically by the record. It goes record first, and then there are other matchups head-to-head and things like that that factor in. But really, your strength of schedule doesn't come into play in all of this, and thus you go up against a Coggeshall who knocks off Two Rivers 13-0. Notre Dame of Fairfield, a 1-0 win over Northwestern Catholic. They will take on Old Saybrook, who beat Terryville 2-0. Coventry will play East Hampton, while Lyman Hall will play Oxford. And finally, Old Lyman Cromwell and Canton and Griswold. That rounds out Class S, with all of the games continuing on into this weekend. Semifinals moving a little further a week from right about now, and then finally the championships the weekend of November 20th and 21st. So congratulations to all of those who won, and at the same time, congratulations to everyone on a great season. Let us shift back over as you take a look at Tournament Central from the CIAC, and now we jump down into the next set of brackets and kind of play catch up on everything going on around the region. Next up, you will go over and find field hockey. Now, field hockey's often running with just qualifiers. So really you're taking a look at schedules at this point. And for field hockey, you got NFA, or rather Hamden beating NFA in Class L, and Newtown beating Amity 3-0. So those teams are all set. Glastonbury, the top seed, will take on Hamden in Class L. Hamden, the 17 seed, and that is, in fact, today at 2 o'clock. Simsbury and Greenwich in a good 9-8 matchup. The Cardinals at 10-5 on the year, while Simsbury at 11-5. So that'll be a good one as well at Simsbury at 5 o'clock. A very good Norwalk team will play Trumbull in an all-FCIAC matchup. Norwalk at 12-3, while Trumbull 9-6-1. That's 7 o'clock at Norwalk High. Cheshire and Ridgefield meet up the line in Cheshire in the 12-5. You've got Conard and Newtown taking place later on today. South Windsor and Staples. Staples 9-5-1 out of the FCIAC, and South Windsor at 11-4 in the 10-7. The Darien Blue Wave, the FCIAC champions, at 15-1, and again, that one loss to the best team in the entire country, Lakeland Panas out of New York. They do have the second FCIAC loss, of course, in the championship game, but that doesn't factor into the state rankings, so you got to do the little math on that. So technically, Darien 16-1 on the year, I should say, and they will play Newington, who are 8-6-1-1, and finally Wilton, New Milford. Now, on yesterday's show, I said if things stay chalk and you get Darien and Wilton, you get the FCIAC championship rematch in the second round. So that's a pretty fun thing to think about, and I think I can speak for those of us who saw that Darien-Wilton FCIAC championship game. I think we'd all sign to see that game again, because those two teams put on a pretty good show that night over at Brian McMahon High School. I know I was very into it. Looking over as well at Class M. Now, Class M is already off and running, but not a lot of the teams that we see taking the field there. Yes, New Canaan, one of them. I'll get to them in a moment. Bethel, the 9 seed, knocked off Nonawog 3-1, and they will play either Brookfield or Barlow. I assume Barlow, but that will be later today. Barlow, the top seed, and again, we play the games for a reason. Barlow 14-1-1. That's at 2 o'clock later today. Avon and Farmington will play in the 4-5 matchup in the quarterfinal. That will be tomorrow. Avon getting a 2-0 win over Guilford, while Farmington a 2-1 win knocking off Pomperog. East Lyme, the number 2 seed, at 14-2-1, will take on the New Canaan Rams. The Rams now 13-3-1 on the year. They beat Brantford yesterday 4-1. And the big thing coming out of that game is the return of Catherine Granito. For the Rams, Granito had not played due to an injury, and we saw her on the sideline, and I know that had to be frustrating for her. Back from injury, she gets a goal yesterday, so again, they will play East Lyme on Thursday, and for the Rams, 4 different scorers, so that's great stuff for the Rams and sets them up nicely going into that 2-7 matchup with East Lyme. That game will be up at East Lyme. Finally, our friends over at Laurelton Hall, they're big fans of the HAN Network. They will play Sacred Heart Academy. Laurelton, the 3 seed, beat Woodstock 7-1, and Sacred Heart needed overtime, 2 of them exactly, to be exact, as they knocked off Daniel Hand 1-0. So there you go from Class M, and we'll shift over to Class S. Lewis Mills, a 2-1 win on Killingly. They will play Thomaston, the top seed, and that will be at Plum Hill, and that is tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Stonington and Canton will meet in a 4-12 matchup. It took overtime for Canton to beat North Branford, the 5 seed, 4-3, while Stonington over Northwest Catholic 3-0. Immaculate got a 2-0 win over Stafford, not Stratford, Stafford. That's up closer to the top of the state along 84. They will take on number 7 Enfield, who beat Valley Regional 1-0, and Haddam Killingworth, the 3 seed, took a 6-0 shutout victory over Old Saybrook, the 14 seed. So the number 3 Haddam Killingworth will move on. They will play Granby, who beat Shiphog 4-1. So Granby, the 6 seed, and that's where you sit in field hockey. We will take a break. We'll come back. We've got girls soccer to get to. We've got volleyball. We also have some diving stuff going on. So a lot of stuff still to get to, and we'll set you up for football later in the week as well. A timeout here. Eric Gendron running the controls. My thanks to him. We're back right after this with more Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Darien Sport Shop is a unique store because it's a family store. A busy mom can come in with kids in tow and find everything she needs for them, and even find a dress for herself for Saturday night. And if she's in a rush, she can simply go home and order it from us that night. We'll deliver it the next day. The Darien Sport Shop. We're pretty on the outside and amazing on the inside. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances, where community comes first, a place where there's more than one kind of interest, where automation will never replace consideration, where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
In Pound Ridge since 1993, the Wine Connection is one of America's best wine shops. Visit our beautiful store for the greatest in wine and knowledgeable service. With wonderful values from around the world to collectibles for your cellar, we are your one-stop source. Visit our online shop at wineconn.com and make sure to sign up for email updates. With great offers, new arrivals, and special events, don't miss all the action at The Wine Connection, including tastings every weekend. The Wine Connection, located at 32 Westchester Avenue, Pound Ridge, New York.
This fall for our red panda. That's right, Rashawn the red panda will be visiting the Beardsley Zoo for a limited time. Resembling raccoons, red pandas primarily eat bamboo, but will occasionally eat fruits, berries, young leaves, and certain tree bark, like their better-known black and white cousins. As an adult, Rashawn is expected to weigh 10 to 12 pounds, and you can see him at the South American Rainforest exhibit, Connecticut's Beardsley Zoo of Bridgeport. A whole new experience. 875 Noble Avenue, Bridgeport. 203-394-6565.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. 102,000 viewers have enjoyed the HAN Network in just the last 6 weeks. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network. You are watching.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I'm Rob Adams. Donald Eng, likely with the day off today, but Don, of course, Monroe currying, as he likes to do, or as of course is the editor of the Monroe Courier, but Don might jump in. You never know when he all of a sudden will appear and say, hey, I can do a few minutes. So we'll see if we talk to Don a little bit later on. Now let's dance into some of the other brackets, and we'll start with girls soccer because they're back on the docket today with some games, and in fact coming off some games. So some games going on today, Class LL. You've got Darien, the 16 seed. They beat Staples 2-1, but won't be easy. They've got top-seeded Glastonbury right off the bat. Greenwich and Conard playing an 8:24 matchup. That's at 2 o'clock today. Shelton, the 4 seed, takes on number 20, Simsbury, and number 5, New Milford, will go up against number 12, Mercy. Moving down the bracket, Newington, the 2 seed, will take on number 15, Wilton. Wilton beating West Hill back on Monday, 1-0. New Canaan, the 23 seed, who needed penalty kicks to get past Amity 2-1, they will play at Middletown today at 2 o'clock, as well as Hall and Fairfield Ward playing. That's 5 o'clock at Fairfield Ward, and Ward, the 3 seed, Hall, the 14 seed, and Ridgefield and Fairfield Ludlow in an 11-6 matchup, and that coming up as well later today. Ridgefield, of course, the FCAC champion. They, of course, beat St. Joe's, who they can't play again because St. Joseph in a different bracket. Switching off to Class L, there are the St. Joseph Cadets. The top seed, they will take on Sacred Heart Academy later on today, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, as Sacred Heart beat Daniel Hand 2-1, 4-3 on penalty kicks. Laurelton Hall, the 9 seed, goes up against Farmington, while you've got number 4 RHAM taking on number 20 Pomperog. The 5 seed East Lyme plays number 12 Joel Barlow. Number 2 Suffield up against number 18 Weathersfield. Guilford and Massac in a 7-10 matchup. Immaculate and Avon in the 3-19, and Berlin, the number 6, goes up against number 11 East Haven. Off to Class M, Rocky Hill, the 16 seed, will play number 1 Woodland. Now, there's not a lot of difference between the two records, but again, it's how you get ranked, strength of schedule, all those different factors. Rocky Hill at 11-5 with 1 tie. Woodland, a little tougher, 15-0-1. But Rocky Hill to be respected with 11 wins on the year. Stonington meets Watertown. That's the 9:25 matchup here in Class M. Ellington and Nonawog in a 13-4. Tolland, the 12 seed, plays number 5 Enfield. That's 12-5 Enfield, the 12, Tolland, the 5. We'll get it right. Number 15, Valley Regional against number 2, Lewis Mills. The 26-10 is Bethel and Walcott. Northwest Catholic takes on East Hampton in the 3-19, and Waterford and Weston in the 6-11 matchup to round out Class M. Finally to Class S. Housatonic, the top seed, will play number 17, Coggenshaw. Coggenshaw did not win 13-0 in their girls' game. They beat Somers 5-1. Holy Cross and Windsor Locks, the 8-24 showdown. This again in Class S. Coventry and St. Paul, the 4-13. Number 5, Old Lyme against number 21, East Windsor. Number 2, Capital Prep against number 18, Notre Dame of Fairfield. The 7-23 is Parish Hill and Portland. The 3-14 is Med-Ed Prep and Terryville. And finally, Tortolot and Bolton in the 6-11. And that's how you round out girls soccer. So some good matches there. And we expect to see some good results as a result of all that. I hate saying result in the same sentence twice. Now to volleyball to line us up. And again, games tomorrow, then the next round on the 14th in Class LL, championships on the 19th. Darien and Staples give you an all FCAC matchup in the second round. Darien, of course, moving in on a bye. Staples, a 3-0 win over Shelton back Monday, in fact. NFA and Fairfield Ludlow will play in the 25-9. You've got Cheshire and Trumbull in the 4-13. Glastonbury and West Haven. Amity and Fairfield Ward in the 2-15. McMahon and Greenwich in the 7-10. That should be a good one. Simsbury and Southington, that's a 14-3. And Ridgefield and South Windsor in the 6-11. But you got to love the idea that maybe in the States, you get another chance at Darien and Fairfield Ludlow. That would be a quarterfinal rematch. If both teams go on and hold on and win, they would play. And it's scheduled for the 14th at 6 o'clock. So that's kind of fun to talk about there. And again, championships next week. And those are actually at Berlin on the 21st at 7 o'clock. Switching over to Class L, it's RHAM and Brantford in the 116, Guilford and Pomperog in the 8-9. Barlow goes up against Naugatuck in the 4-13. Number 5, Farmington goes up against number 12, Brookfield. 2-15 matchup is Fitch and Daniel Hand. Platt and East Lyme in the 7-10. Torrington and Avon in the 3-14. And Bristol Eastern and E.O. Smith play the 6-11, and again, championships on the 21st at Berlin High School. Off to Class M we go, and we move on over there and find Woodland taking on Tolland in a 1-16, Rockville and Nonawag in the 8-9. There's number 13, St. Joseph, going up against number 4, Waterford. Number 12, Weston, also in our area, takes on number 5, Granby. These are all tonight, in fact, and this afternoon. Bullard Havens and Haddam Killingworth in the 2-18. You've got Ellington and Foreign in the 7-23. Wilcox Tech against Lewis Mills, that already in the books, and Wilcox Tech moves on, and they will play in the quarterfinals in East Haven and Killingly in the 6-11. In fact, Haddam Killingworth already knocked off Bullard Havens, so the 18 seed with the upset over number 2, that took place last night. So Haddam Killingworth has already moved on, a 3-1 victory, and they get the winner of Ellington and Foreign. Finally, off to Class S. Seymour and Ansonia, a couple of Valley area schools, the 117 there. Well, you got East Hampton and Notre Dame of Fairfield in the 8-9. Lyman Memorial and Valley Regional in the 4-13. Number 5 Abbott Tech plays number 12 Morgan. Number 2 Coventry against number 18 Trinity Catholic. Wheeler and SMSA in the 26-10. You got a 26 who knocks off HMTCA 3-0. You've got a number 10, SMSA, who beat number 23, Griswold, 3-0. Could have had a 26-23, in fact. Hale Ray will play Goodwin Tech in the 3-14 and Bolton and Oxford in the 27-11 matchup. So good matchups as well in volleyball, in girls volleyball. And again, we had so much fun covering all of that last week here on the HAN Network. And can't help but kind of hope you wind up with that Fairfield-Ludlow-Darien rematch all over again. There are diving championships later today in Class Double L. It's at Bulkley High School at 4:30, and you've got a diving championship in Class S at Middletown High School right up I-91, and that is at 5:30 later today. So pretty good stuff and a pretty busy schedule for this time of year, as it always is. As we get ready to go to break, we will begin to tease some football talk with you as we line up the schedule for this weekend, and our game, in fact. As I look at the Game Time CT top 10 poll, can I tell you, it's all the same. Wethersfield at 10, Ansonia 9, Glastonbury 8, Newtown is number 7, North Haven 6, Shelton 5, Windsor 4, Darien 3, New Canaan 2, and Southington number 1. The one thing about that as we get ready to go to break, Darien, the 3 seed, they're in Class Double L now. They're one of the smaller Class Double Ls. Southington is a Double L as well. It's nice when you get the chance to have that issue resolve itself on the football field. Now, we got a long way to go. You've got to get through, the balance of the regular season. Each team has 2 games left one way or another, not to mention, rounds of the state playoffs and then the championship. But it is nice that you could resolve that issue on the field and determine a number 1. But New Canaan's sitting right in the middle. New Canaan is not in Class Double L. But we'll talk about New Canaan, Darien, Staples, and a lot more when we come back. It's Nutmeg Sports for a Wednesday, and it continues right after this on the HAN Network.
When you experience a sports injury, you want to get better and fast. Coastal Ortho Express gives you direct access to orthopedic care quickly. Their physicians are fellowship trained in sports medicine at world-class universities and are also team doctors for area football teams. For specialized personal care of sports injuries, go to Coastal Ortho Express. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building, 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or coastalorthoexpress.com. Coastal Orthopedics, keeping you on the move.
Back to school means back to busy, and Stewart's Market can save you precious time by stocking all of your favorite essentials under one roof. For a healthy start to school, we have all the ingredients. Walter Stewart's, your family-owned fresh local market, 229 Elm Street and at stewartsmarket.com.
Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car? Visit Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for the one-stop buying experience and stop spinning your wheels.
Football University, the nation's leading football training experience, is now accepting applications for its 2015 camps. Our elite faculty of NFL coaches and top professionals teach position-specific on the field and in the classroom to improve your football IQ and help you reach your full potential as a player. Apply today at footballuniversity.org. Football University, where technique plus talent beats talent alone.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports. Got a few minutes left on this edition of the program for a Wednesday. I'm Rob Adams. Happy you're along with us. We gave you the poll from Game Time CT. How about the games coming up this weekend? And again, Saturday will be our game time, our game day to be exact, as we have FCAC game day at 11:30 on Saturday. FCAC tailgate will begin our day at 11. We're condensing things just a little bit so we don't have to be at Darien High School as the sun is rising. So we'll have a good show for you on Saturday, but a really good game. We'll get to that in a minute. Coming up on this weekend, in the FCAC to be exact, you have Fairfield, Ludlow, and New Canaan. Now we know the Falcons have struggled. We know the Rams have had a dominant year. Obviously, Michael Collins bordering on breaking the state record for touchdown passes. The Rams basically win and they're in the FCAC championship. If they haven't already booked their ticket officially, it's almost all but official. They just need to make it kind of dot the I's and cross the T's with Fairfield Ludlow. But, you know, the Falcons will show up and the Falcons will play. That's 7 o'clock at Dunning Field. Norwalk and Trumbull. For the Eagles, they're kind of licking their wounds off that 69-26 defeat at the hands of New Canaan. They'll want to take on Norwalk, who lost to Greenwich last week, and they'll want to take it to them, but we'll see what the Bears have in store for them. Trinity Catholic and Bridgeport Central, that's up at Kennedy Stadium. Fairfield Ward and McMahon could be an interesting matchup there. A couple of teams scuffling. Wilton and Danbury as well should be an interesting one. Again, teams that would like to get another win on the year. From the SCC, you've got Daniel Hand and West Haven. Wilbur Cross is at Notre Dame West Haven. Xavier and Fairfield Prep, traditionally a good showdown. Xavier has scuffled a bit this year. We'll see what Prep has in store. Hamden and Shelton as well, 7 o'clock. Shelton coming off a not-so-easy win, so we'll see what Shelton has. North Haven and Foreign, Hillhouse at Guilford Law at Lyman Hall, as well as Amity and Brantford, Sheehan at Cheshire from the SEC. From the SWC, you've got Stratford and Massac, Brookfield home for Notre Dame of Fairfield, while Bunnell at Bethel, Newtown at New Fairfield, and Weston at New Milford. To the Saturday games, nothing in the SEC. It's all Friday night. Only one SWC game, Pomperog and Barlow. Then you've got 3 games in the FCAC. St. Joe's, who takes on West Hill at 1 o'clock. St. Joseph needs to keep winning to make it into the States. Their FCAC dream has faded, in fact, with the loss to Staples last week, if they had really any realistic chance at all. Ridgefield and Greenwich at 4 o'clock. I think that game is more fascinating than you might initially think. The Cardinals kind of up and down this year, while Ridgefield has kind of gotten it together. But Ridgefield's in the thick of it for certainly Class LL. Greenwich thinks they have a slight chance as well, but that seems to be a longer thing, longer odds for them. But if the Cardinals can play the way that they played New Canaan a few weeks ago, I think they can give Ridgefield a battle. Ridgefield seems to have gotten it straight, especially offensively. So what do those two teams have in store? I think that's a good one. Keep an eye on that one Saturday at Greenwich. And last but not least, Staples and Darien. And the thing is simple. Darien wins, they're going to the FCAC championship game. Staples wants to stop them and make their own bid to go to the FCAC championship game. Then it comes down to this. If Staples wins, New Canaan wins, then it's the following Saturday at noon at Boyle Stadium for the championship. Darien wins, you've got a turkey bowl, you've got it one size fits all, the big buffet at Boyle Stadium Thanksgiving morning. and we'll look forward to that. That would be a 10:30, I believe at last check it would be 10:30 on Thanksgiving morning, but we'll keep you posted on all of that. So it should be a good weekend with a couple of good storylines in football. Again, that Ridgefield-Greenwich game, that game still kind of intrigues me, but Staples at Darien is the game we will have, and that is a 1 o'clock kickoff, not a 1:30 kickoff now. They've backed it up by a half hour. 1 o'clock at Darien. Remember, they don't have lights at Darien, so you have to take that into account as well. When we join you on Saturday, we can take a look at all the playoff points and where everything sits and, kind of where it all lines up. But a quick look at Class LL. Shelton at the 1, Southington, Newtown, Darien, Glastonbury, Staples, West Haven, Conard, the top 8. They would all get in. But Ridgefield in 9th at 5-2. They certainly want to make their stand, and they have, as I mentioned, Greenwich as well as Danbury left on their schedule. So Trumbull sitting at number 10 as well. Their odds are a little longer, Norwalk and St. Joe's to finish the year, but they would get a lot of power points on a victory against St. Joe's. As we finish this Nutmeg Sports for the week, want to take a moment because it is Veterans Day and absolutely want to thank all the veterans, remember all the veterans, and I threw a little picture over to Eric Gendron. Let's see if we can pull that up. That gentleman on the left, kind of leaning over, that's my dad. 1951, I believe, from, I think it was the Putnam Courier newspaper. Dad wanted to go fight in Korea, something awful, in fact. But Dad had some arthritis, and he was 4F, and we miss him every day. Thanks to all of you for what you do. Thank you, veterans. On that note, we'll say so long for Nutmeg Sports. Back with you on Monday for a regular show. Don will be alongside of me, and we'll also have all the football on Saturday at Darien High School. But for Eric Gendron and our entire crew, I'm Rob Adams. Coffee break tomorrow morning. Of course, Yankee Fisherman. Arts and Leisure as well. All of that comes your way tomorrow. But for now,